FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back to Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight on Spectrum, what is the role of the East African community in nurturing and strengthening democracy in partner states? What role is the community playing in ensuring peaceful, free and fair elections in Uganda? We're broadening it basically. Now, our guest tonight is Honorable Beatrice Kiraso, Deputy Secretary General for the East African Community in charge of Political Federation. She's also a former woman MP for Kabarole District. You'll be able to call in a short while. I'll read out the telephone numbers when that time comes. In the meantime, you can send in your text messages. The text code is Spectrum 7197. That is, type the word Spectrum in your phone browser, message, name and address, and send it to 7197. Madam Kiraso, let's get back to the monetary union. How exactly is it going to be run? Can you give us some breakdown as we walk towards it? What are some of the steps that would have to be done or being undertaken now to be the deadline for next year?
No, I said that in the coming few months, the proper negotiations are going to start.
Yes.
Otherwise, the framework, the areas that are going to be discussed. Right now, as we talk, there are meetings going on in Bujumbura to discuss that. So I can't preempt how it's going to work and how it's going to look like.
It's interesting you mentioned Bujumbura. I would like to know, I'll ask the question later, but Bujumbura was the headquarters for the PTA Bank, Preferential Trade Area Bank for Eastern Southern Africa. Of course, it was a bigger union, 16 countries. Is there a possibility that the central bank for East Africa could be in another capital rather than Arusha, which is the, steering capital right now?
Yes, there is that possibility, because there's also a provision that institutions of the community can be in other countries. Like we have the East African Development Bank, which is based in Uganda.
Yes.
We have the CASOA, which is the Civil Aviation Security and Oversight Agency, which is in Entebbe.
Right.
We have the Lake Victoria Basin Commission, which is in Kisumu.
True.
Yeah, so it is possible.
And this was the old framework. In the past, we had the East African Airlines, which was based, East African Airways actually, which was based in Nairobi.
Yes.
Tanzania had the harbors.
Exactly.
Uganda had the railways.
Posts and telecommunication.
Post and telecommunication, and then we had so that's a framework that's likely to be resurrected.
Yeah, because there has to be some equitability in distributing out some of these institutions.
Well, of course, when the community broke up at that time, people thought Uganda got a raw deal. They were Ugandans. They said that Kenya got a much better deal. They had the East African Airways, so they kept the airlines, we kept other things, and they didn't do us a lot of benefit. Let's talk about the monetary union, though. So we shall have one central bank, and the Bank of Uganda and the Kenyan Bank, Central Bank, Bank Kuu ya Kenya, these will be currency unions, basically, currency centers, basically.
You know, now, if I go deep into this, I'll be discussing a monetary union protocol, which is not yet even in draft form.
Right.
I'll be actually guessing. It will be like this, it will be like that. But Edmund, I can only promise that in the coming 3-4 months, we should have that framework. Then I'll come back and be able to discuss it.
Let's talk about the ideal best case scenario. We shall have one currency, that's a given.
Yes, we'll have one currency like we did. And you were saying before independence, it was after independence. Actually, it was around the time when the community collapsed. I saw the East African shilling myself.
I never did. I was probably still on the drawing board. Let's talk about the merits of a single currency. Obviously, you make savings in exchange, because you lose money when if I had an amount of money, I went to Kenya exchange, and then I had to come back and exchange it. I make it double loss. Can you talk to us about the merits of a single currency?
Well, of course, the other merit is if you are operating in a common market, it's easier to conduct business in that one common currency other than to suffer the foreign exchange losses like the one you're talking about. It enhances trade. It's easier for the private sector. You know that you are pegging all the other currencies, international currencies, to one currency that will have the same strength.
So that will strengthen the regional economy as well, in the light of the international community.
Yes.
Foreign investors are normally touchy. I know some of the investors from America, they'll ask, do you have a McDonald's in that country? Do you have Citibank? These are some of the indicators they look at.
Then they should come and set them up. Because, yes.
We can have a McDonald's.
Actually, then, because we are a bigger market, 130 million people, we are able now to attract foreign investment.
Right.
And I'm talking about big foreign investment, not McDonald's and
McDonald's is not small.
And
There's
Starbucks.
what they call the Big Mac Index. It's a universally accepted measurement. So McDonald's is not as small. It's one of the biggest companies.
Yeah, but my wish is that we should look at the foreign investments which will add value to our raw materials, where we can, value addition, industrialization in the country. Even those, we should be able to attract them because of the bigger market, not only internally, but also the neighboring market.
Walmart just came to Africa. It just came into South Africa. Is that a value addition investment? Walmart is the biggest private company in the world. It just came to Africa. Is that a value addition component in your view?
It came to trade.
Well, it's the supermarket. It's a supermarket chain. The world's biggest company.
It's trading.
Yes.
Bringing in their items. I don't know. I wouldn't call that value addition. I'm talking about adding value to our own raw materials.
Right.
Yes.
You're talking about manufacturing and food processing, packaging. And
because the biggest challenge we have now as a region is employment creation.
Yes.
We have a lot of youth who are unemployed.
Right.
Who can be a cause of worry, really, because they can be a destabilizing factor if they are not engaged, if they are not earning. So I'm looking at investments which will spur off some production and then employment.
So you think the lack of a common currency drops some synergies, some energies that will be used to do production are lost because we don't have a single currency? Someone wakes up and he says, I won't go to Kenya because, I'm going to suffer a loss.
Yeah, I think that we'll have a promotion there. We'll have an improvement if we have a common currency.
Who will lead the political union?
Who will lead?
The East African state when it comes.
I don't know.
What is the framework like?
There's no framework. And when I talk about the East African Constitution, that is the framework that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a decision, a firm decision by these countries to say, yes, now we are ready, let's embark on working on the framework. But I'm not getting that yet.
Yes.
Yes. The minute we get that, then we can talk about the framework. We can talk about the modus operandi.
Yes.
How shall we elect our leaders?
Yes.
And I believe it will be democratic elections. So I cannot say who will be the first president or who will lead the federation. It will be a country. We are democratic countries. We have been accessing power through democratic means. And I would like to encourage East Africa to go for democratic means to elect who will govern East Africa.
And when we have this new constitution, it won't be new because the only constitution we ever had for East Africa, what will be left?
What will be left?
Yeah, on the political side.
Well, probably on the political side now, we'll have to encourage political parties, which right now are national-based. There are so many. There are 156. The last time I counted was about 6 months ago. There were 156. We need to encourage political parties to look beyond their borders. Because if you are national-based political parties, however big you are, what happens when we say we are going to elect a regional president, for example? Are you going to elect a president, are you going to elect somebody in your party, which is only known in your country? So what we are doing on that, Edmund, these are some of the political processes. We have finished a round of meetings with all heads of political parties in the 5 countries. I've had meetings with all the political parties. The next stage, well, I have some financial constraints though, but I hope we'll jump that hurdle.
Oil is coming, maybe the money will be available at that time. Go on.
So the next stage is to bring together all the political parties in East Africa from all the countries in one forum. We want to establish the East African Political Parties Forum.
There's going to be an East African Political Parties Forum, yes?
Now, when you establish that forum, it allows for dialogue. First of all, the political parties will get to know each other.
Yes.
They'll get to identify similar ideology political parties.
Right.
We are going to encourage East African-wide political parties. It could be through mergers, it could be through coalitions for the beginning, but there's no way we can look at democratic processes at the East African level, if the political parties continue to be so many, they are fragmented, some of them even too small to win a parliamentary seat, and then we expect them to compete in the bigger space, in the bigger political space.
So you think there's going to be a rule, you can only be a political party if you are represented across East Africa?
Well, not really, not yet.
Yes.
Not yet. I want to take things step by step.
Right.
Yeah, the first step, of course, will be now to have this political parties forum where they identify each other.
When is this supposed to take place?
Actually, it will be demand-driven, because then they will realize the need for there to be a method of registering East African-wide political parties.
Right.
When will this be done? In the coming 3 months.
In the coming 3 months?
Yes, actually we are waiting for Uganda to finish their elections.
Right.
And probably by, I should say by May, June, we should have had the forum of political parties.
Can you give us can you flesh this out a little bit for us? Where is this supposed to take place? What kind of...
We haven't yet organized the venue, and we are waiting for this political process to end, because we couldn't convene a political parties forum when political parties in one country are involved in the electoral process. But so immediately we finish this, we are going to arrange for where they will be sitting.
But broadly, you'll have them come under one roof. Will you have presidents and secretary generals of every party?
I believe
156 parties?
What we do is to invite.
Right.
Whether they'll send the presidents or the secretaries general, that will be up to them. But we'll give them an opportunity to bring a certain number of people, depending on the finances that we'll have at our disposal. So
basically, we're saying that you invite about 5 people for each party: the president, general, secretary, whatever it is, and they come into a forum, and then you discuss the broad frameworks, and then have a chance to network. Is that the kind of meeting?
Yes, that's the kind of meeting we're
What is expected to come out? I know it's an important meeting, but at the end of it,
at the end of it, first of all, you don't just tell people sit there and start networking and get to know each other.
Just be a preamble.
Yeah, we'll have to have a theme or themes to address during those political party forum meetings.
Right.
And one that I've been thinking about is internal democracy in the political parties.
Okay.
Of course, we'll look at how different countries register political parties, how you qualify to be recognized as a political party, how political parties are funded, how political parties behave, their code of conduct. Again, it's in the spirit of harmonization. We're trying to look at similarities. We're trying to look at differences in policies and legislations in our different partner states.
Very interesting. That's at the national level. Then are you asking them to give you, for instance, their constitutions, their codes of conduct and things like that, as before they even show up, so you can look at them?
Yes, because otherwise how would you compare the similarities and differences and bring out the divergences if you don't look at those instruments?
You have only 3 months. That's not a lot of time.
Well, with internet,
you haven't even asked
with
for
internet now we have with internet
You've
now.
asked them
With internet, which you've launched today, you just need to tell somebody to send you a document.
Well, this is Spectrum on Radio, and very interesting discussion, in my view, this time. Our question tonight: what is the role of the East African community in nurturing and strengthening democracy in partner state? Our guest is Honorable Beatrice Kiraso. Of course, we're focusing on the role of the communities playing in ensuring peaceful, free and fair elections in Uganda. We've just learned from our guest, Honorable Beatrice Kiraso, Deputy Secretary General at the East African Community in charge of Political Federation, also a former woman member of Parliament for Kabarole District. You told us that your job is to observe elections, not to monitor them. What do you mean?
Basically, the difference between monitoring and observing is that electoral monitors can also intervene.
Yes.
If there's a problem.
Well, you only observe.
We only observe.
And at the end of it?
You write a report of what you have observed.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you criticize? Do you expect to criticize?
That's part of observation.
Well, what's the difference then? It's the same as monitoring. It's only language.
No. I said you can intervene. Criticism is not intervening.
So you could send your report.
Actually, I wouldn't even call it criticism.
Yeah. Observation.
It's observation, and you put down what you have observed.
Right.
If it is wrong, you may call it criticism, but that's what you've observed.
And you would have observed the period to the run-up to the election itself.
Yes.